Alright, what did YouTube back again with another video here. And today I'll be breaking down how I made nearly $10,000 this past week trading stocks and futures, so let's get straight into it. If you guys look over here at my screen, obviously had to wire some money out, made a bankroll last week. I withdrew nearly $5,000 from my options account. Last week locked in nearly $10,700. Now obviously, you guys can see here's my top sub account. The balance high is at $9,100 right now. I started this account, as you guys can see right here, July 9th, so pretty much a week ago. And this account's growing pretty exponentially along with my options account because there's so many good setups last week. So pretty much here's all I'm looking for futures and options. This is the core setup and everything I'm looking for every single day. The break and retest. You guys have probably heard this time and time again here, but it's a pretty straightforward strategy to follow along with, and it's a really simple thing to look for every single day in the stock market. So let's check out some examples here. So one of my big futures trade last week was this break and retest from 23,100. So actually, let's just zoom out here a bit further to a 1 hour time frame. So if you guys just look at NASDAQ here, for example, the last week and a half to start July, or last 2 weeks rather, you've been sitting in a clear box between 23,105 and 22,871. So since I recognize this box being pretty well respected, all I was looking for is some breaks and some highs and just trading it back into lows, a really straightforward thing. And you were able to catch about 100 points each time here on NASDAQ. So the big trade I took last week on July 16th for about $2,800, I believe, was this break and retest right here around these highs when PPI data came out. So all I was looking for was the same exact thing every single day here, the break and retest. You guys can see right here, NASDAQ was trying to hold these lows here around 23,105 as support. You can see this clear support low that was established. And you just kind of stretch this over here to the PPI data, and you pop straight back into the zone of support to resistance, and you just shot straight back down. I was targeting these lows down here, but I exited a little bit early, but ultimately the same exact thing every day. It's a really straightforward thing to look for. And then just looking at your risk reward, you just take some contracts or puts wherever you're trading up here, just target down these lows, and it gives you like a 6-hour trade setup back to the downside. You know, and on this trade in particular, I was risking maybe 15-20 points back to the upside, or $600 on 3-minute contracts. So a really straightforward thing you're looking for. And all you have to do is just kind of zoom down here to like the 5-minute, 15-minute time frame, and just look at the reactions you're getting up here on these candles. People have a hard time recognizing price action, how to read it. But all you're looking for is where sellers and buyers are active. You guys can see up here, look at all these wicks that are getting established up here around this range high. So because I saw these wicks up here, it gave me confidence to hold this trade and look for the breakdown lower, because sellers continue to enter in the market and reject you from this region up here, showing there's a clear area of resistance, and price action was showing you didn't want to go higher at the time. So as you can read price action, look for the break and retest, a really straightforward trade and really easy trade in my opinion. Again, break, you broke back down below this level right here, this support level, you came back up, you tested this level again as resistance and dropped straight back down to the downside. You guys can see right here pretty clearly, break below structure, come back up, retest the area as resistance, and drop straight back down towards the target down here for about 200 points bare minimum. If you guys just took all the way down to the lows, I sold pretty much down these wicks right here, so easy money sniper really if you guys just are looking for the break and retest every single day here. Now jumping back over here, like I just talked about, you have to wait for the clean breakout of the key level, confirm with the retest of the 50-minute candle close. Then you gotta look for the entry on the reclaim or rejection, just like I talked about. Because I was looking for the rejection, I wanted to see those candle wick highs come in. Then when I started seeing those sellers step in from the highs, that's why I entered the contracts and started aiming for the downside back towards lows. A big thing here too I've been implementing more frequently is the 15-minute time frame. I found myself getting too focused on like the 2-minute and 5-minute time frames. I still trade them, but I'm scalping pretty aggressively, but looking for the 15-minute time frame has been something really key for me as of lately, especially in my new top sub account that I just got funded about a week and a half ago. Because I'm looking for the higher time frame trades, I'm able to capture more points to the downside or upside, and I'm capturing over 100-point moves down because I'm focused on the higher time frames and not too focused on like those 10, 15, 20-point scalps on the 2-minute time frame. Yeah, I like making $200 pretty quickly, but I'm trying to get those big returns now. I'm really aiming to size up and get those big returns on my money right now. So like I just talked about, it gives rooms for trades to develop, it filters out all the noise from the 1 and the 5-minute time frame, and helps with patience and trend clarity. One thing that really can be hard to identify on lower time frames or get too tunnel vision, or you can get tunnel vision in on, is just focus on the 1 and 5-minute time frame. But these higher time frames, like the 15 and 30-minute time frame, can give you more clarity on what's actually happening in the price action, where the trend's actually going, and how you can identify that trend and catch those larger trades to the downside or upside. Again, the 15-minute time frame also helps some of the trades play out. So like I just talked about, it's helping me avoid exiting too quickly because I'm getting too tunnel vision in on the 2-minute time frame or 1-minute time frame. I'm letting my levels play out and trusting my plan, and obviously, of course, risk management, using a stop loss to manage my targets and exits. Same exact thing, just higher time frames are letting me let things play out a bit more, and I'm not really taking those like 2-minute trades like I was months prior when I was trading at top step. going on to my strategy and execution here, what I'm really looking for. Especially on Top Step, if you guys have a funded account. One thing I really try to focus on this account in particular is building a buffer as soon as possible. I kind of talked about it in videos prior, but because I was able to let my buffer get to about $4,000 pretty quickly, pretty rapidly, I've been able to take these trades for, you know, having like a stop loss of 30-40 points. So I'm risking, you know, maybe $400-$600 per trade on one contract. I'm able to let these trades play out because I have so much room as my buffer to let these trades play out. You know, in months prior, I was taking profits and withdrawing money pretty quickly from Top Step, and I was setting my account back down to $1,000. So I didn't have any room for a buffer, and I was getting my accounts closed out pretty quickly because I wasn't building that buffer big enough and not allowing myself to take large enough trades like I wanted to on the 15-minute time frame. Like I talked about, it helps reduce pressure. It allows more flexibility by sizing in later. One thing I like to do, especially as I start seeing the move go in my favor, I try to add back into that position and start scaling up a bit more so I can catch the full move I'm looking for. And it keeps you in offense, not defense, because you're not always just sitting there staring at the 2-minute time frame and trying to protect your gains. Especially as you start nearing a payout, there can kind of be some pressure to get that payout, just get those $200. You start forcing trades that things aren't ideal. But if you guys have that buffer built up to me, like I'm at $6,000 right now, I can take these, you know, little small trades, get that $200 and lock out for the day, and I don't have to worry about, you know, potentially losing all my money. This is one really big thing for me as of lately: one account versus copy trading. In months prior, I was a big fan of, you know, the whole copy trading, you know, 4, 5, 6 accounts on Top Step, you know, trying to get like $400 per day. But I found that I was getting really distracted and I was focused too much on the P&L as opposed to actually letting the trade play out. Now, I think obviously copy trading is a great way to scale and, you know, leverage your money a bit more aggressively. But for me personally, I've just found more success this whole month, or the last 2 weeks rather, just focusing on one account versus trying to copy trade multiple accounts, because it led to fewer distractions. Because I found myself, you know, flipping through accounts too frequently, you know, seeing what the balances were in all my accounts, you know, seeing how close I am to the, you know, daily to the max loss limit, etc. It allowed me to focus on more clean steps and have my consistency raised a bit higher. I think last week my win rate was about like 89%. I only took like 4 losing trades because I'm overall focused on the higher time frames and focused on more clean and clear steps as opposed to trying to, you know, hyper scalp these 2-minute time frames, especially getting too caught on, you know, trying to, you know, copy trade 5 accounts at once. And it's a whole thing. And obviously it's overcomplicating with too many moving parts. So I think if you're just getting started, you know, just one account could be a good way to go. Like I said, I'm having lots of success this month, you know, just trading one account, just really focusing on building this account. Like I said, in months prior, I was just, you know, buying 5 accounts, you know, trying to get those scaled up as quick as possible, and then I have to reset them all at once when one copy trade didn't go my way. It's just the whole thing, just kind of a waste of money some days because I was just blowing up, you know, revenge trading. But once I just focus on one account, not too many moving parts, just focusing on clean and clear setups, that's when I really see my success, you know, really skyrocket here in prop firms and, you know, options trading in particular. Kind of like I talked about, it allows you to scale contracts a bit more aggressively. So, like I just talked about, when the levels are clean and clear, you can size up, you know, add, you know, 2, 3, 4 contracts, just get that drop back to the downside. Especially going back to building the buffer. If you guys have a buffer built to like $4,000, you can actually trade and not like have to worry about getting stopped out on like a 20-point wick to the upside. So when my buffer's been built this high, I've been able to capture those big moves I'm looking for, especially on like, you know, higher size on like 3 or 4 minis, because I'm not too focused on the buffer and getting stopped out or stressing about the max loss limit creeping up on me. And obviously, again, it allows me more flexibility. If I'm not certain about a setup or like what the price action is looking like, because the buffer's built so high, I can just use one contract, even scale down the micros and just take the base size when I'm uncertain about what's going on. And obviously, I know my max loss per setup, and that allows me to trade more under control and not focus on like, oh, I just blew up 5 accounts again. Time to reset them all and spend another $70 on Top Step, you know. So just trading one account, obviously less money, but I've been able to, you know, scale pretty rapidly in this one account. Especially having one account too, I've been feeling like it's helped me more psychologically. One account feels easier to control, and, you know, it feels cleaner in my opinion. It's hard to explain, but like I talked about in months prior, trying to trade, you know, 5 accounts at once, I felt like I wasn't letting my trades run as I wanted to. I was just too focused on the profit and loss and not actually letting the trades play out, because I'm, oh, I'm up $200, I'm up $1,000 across 5 accounts. Time to lock out for the day and just, you know, move on from there. But because I've been just focused on one account, I don't have to like worry about copy trading, you know, trades not executing, etc. It just helps me stay in a more stable mindset versus like getting over aggressive, having to worry about resetting 5 accounts, you know, over and over again. My bank calling me asking if there's a fraud charge. So obviously easier to track, less anxiety. That's one thing too. I've been able to swing trade some future contracts overnight, just back in the highs, But if I was trying to, copy trade five accounts overnight, I'd probably be waking up during the middle of the night, just checking on the trades, seeing if they're going in my favor. But this allowed me to have less anxiety, and I don't have to worry about the trades overnight because I'm just focused on one account and I'm comfortable with the risk I'm taking, as opposed to worrying about having to blow up my accounts and reset for $800 again. There's one thing I just talked about. I was focusing too much on the daily P&L. I wasn't letting my trades actually work out for me. I was just looking at the P&L across 5 accounts and multiplying it. But one account helped me actually focus on clean and clear setups, as opposed to just focusing on the daily P&L and try to scale that as fast as possible. Focus on executing the setup and letting results stack over time. Pretty self-explanatory here. Duration mindset. Holding higher. Obviously, you can get higher R trades, and it reduces my urge to scalp. So, like I just talked about, because I'm not sitting here scalping the 2 minute or 1 minute time frame and just getting these like 15-20 point moves, I'm able to actually let these trades play out. I'm taking higher risk reward trades as opposed to 1.5 2-hour trades. I'm taking like 5-6 hour trades, risking $400-$500 to make nearly $3,000 on single trades. And because I'm not focused on the 5 minute 2 minute time frame too much, I'm not as I don't have the urge to scalp 15-20 points, so I can actually let the trades play out. Again, just kind of tying all these things together, building a buffer, letting my trades run to the targets because I built my buffer so high, and just tying all these things together and working and putting all these things together here on Top Step and my options account. So pretty much just kind of breaks it down, kind of my mindset and what I was looking for this past week to make $10,700 across all my accounts. So if you guys enjoyed this video, you guys can once again see all here. Balance 9,100 and balance 9,100 on Top Step in 9 trading days, pretty solid. 10K locked in across the board across all my accounts. Another payout coming next week on Top Step. 5 bands withdrawn from my account here on Charles Schwab. So be sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video. Peace.